Hello everyone and welcome back to Unity of Command. This is the campaign scenario second Iassy-Kishinev from the Red Turn DLC, or Iassy-Kishinev. August the 20th, 1944. After the destruction of Army Group Center, the Soviets attacked the flanks of the Axis line. In the south, the Soviets planned to encircle 6th Army once again and force Romania to sign an armistice. And that was a completely successful operation, by the way. 6th Army got destroyed again. That was the army lost at Stalingrad previously. And it was remade from scratch and lost here between the Dniester and the Prut rivers. And yeah, the first glance is pretty deceiving in that the Axis forces actually outnumber the Soviets, interestingly. Barely, but still. This is a very rare sight indeed, especially at the tail end of the war, less than 1 year remaining. But don't be fooled, most of the AI's units, more than half of them, are Romanians, and we know them to be almost totally worthless, with some slight exceptions. On the other hand, we also get 1 air attack per turn. That's not limited, so yeah. 1 air attack per turn. That's not really like an incredible asset, but it's something. What you are going to see is not the first attempt. It's around the third or so. Once again, this is a map where the military situation is extremely one-sided. So in the sense that we overpower the enemy, extremely outgun out and out experience them, but the brilliant victory time, so the times on the objectives, the time limits on the objective hexes are brutal. So this is actually not an easy map in that regard. And yeah, this is the whole map. It's, as I've said, it's not a very large map, or maybe I haven't said it, but now I'm saying it now. So this is not a huge map, and the 3 objectives are within close proximity to each other. Let's take a look at them. First we have Iassy, or Jasnstadt. Capture Iassy, break through to the south and prevent an organized Axis withdrawal, to be taken by the end of turn 1. It's not very difficult. That's the easy objective, I would say. It's literally 2 hexes away from our current front line, and it's empty. So since we need to capture it on turn 1, it's not going to pose a threat. Holding it might be difficult, but not that horrible either. Then we have the Foxani Gate here, in the extreme south, in the middle. Approach to the line of prepared Romanian fortifications and to the city of Galati itself, to be taken by the end of turn 3. This is extremely difficult because the terrain is really bad. So we have to rush there, and then the head-on assault is not easy in this terrain, I'll tell you that. We will get bogged down. We also have another objective slightly to the northeast. Cut off 6th Army. Seal the fate of the 6th Army by blocking its retreat route. Correct. Also to be taken by the end of turn 3. As you can see, this is a short map in the sense that it's you have to finish it in 3 turns. 2 of the objective hexes are empty, are clear hexes, which is great, which helps a lot, especially in the southernmost one. But yeah, other than that, the weather is not going to be a problem. As I've mentioned, terrain is a problem. We have a lot of forest hexes and high ground hexes everywhere, and also a few city, or rather 2 city hexes. We are never going to capture Kishinev, which is kind of funny, as the scenario is literally half named after that, so this operation was named like that. We are going to just encircle this whole pocket here, because we don't need to capture anything else on the eastern bank of the Prut, east of the Prut, apart from this 1 hex, literally on the bank of the river, the eastern side of the river. Alright, so the terrain is not easy. Supply is very interesting. For the Axis, their sole supply source comes from the Foxani Gate. So that means, what that means is that if you can cut them off, relatively at the source, deep to the south, which you should be able to do, then you can make large areas of the enemy units start to run dry. And also, interestingly, we are going to actually capture this hex on the second turn, thereby cutting off the enemy forces here in these two pockets already. So on turn 2. Obviously, when we capture the final victory hex, the supply source is going to be captured as well. So in the theoretical scenario that we would have to keep fighting the battle, we would eventually win very easily because the AS forces would just run out. As for ourselves, we have 2 supplies, or rather 3 supply sources, but 2 of them are on road. One of them is just northwest of Chernovtsi, and the other one is in the middle of nowhere to the northeast, which supplies the eastern push. It's interesting that this supply line doesn't connect to the west. If you recall the map to the Dnester, it was like that over there as well. So we have this supply route, and there is nothing here between the Prut and the Dnester, and there is a completely separate supply source, which is just this one route. So basically, both sides have their own supply sources at each end with a range of 8. This is going to be crucial because you have to secure your supply route as you move on towards the south. I don't think it's possible to totally secure it on turn 1. I'll explain what I mean by that. Okay, so forces. What is immediately discernible is that the 6th Army, the German forces, are mainly stationed here between the 2 rivers. So if you manage to capture this hex here, and of course you need to capture the city hex as well, on turn 1, they cannot really retreat, they won't receive supplies, and not all of their units will receive supplies coming this far from the south. So yeah, the main Axis forces are here. These infantry units are standard, so to speak, but they're all entrenched, and they're very kind of thick. So there are a lot of units in a small area. Entrenched in the forest, they are actually excellent. Even our infantry guns are no match against them, so don't waste your units. The front line is only here to kind of support it. There is the 10th Panzergrenadier Division, which is kind of an excellent unit, a few specialist steps, and the 13th Panzer Division, which is the anchor in the east here. We have a green unit even, and a few Romanians as well. To the west of the Prut, there are very few German units indeed, only the 20th Panzer Division and 2 standard infantry divisions, one with the specialist step, and one Gebirgsjäger, so mountain, and one standard Jäger unit in the extreme northwest in rough terrain. Yeah, so as for our forces, 2 more things to mention regarding the Axis forces. Here is the 1st Armor, the 1st Romanian tank division, which is actually depicted to be using a Panzer IV as its main tank, and it's a correct depiction. Actually, that was the most numerous tank type that they possessed in this stage of the war. This is a decent unit. Do not underestimate it. It's nowhere near as good as a Panzer division, but it's not. So Romanian units tend to be pushovers, as we know. Their stats normally are horrible. 1-1, 1-2 for the cavalry, still very weak. But this has 5 attack and 3 defense stats, so it's sitting in the forest. It's not as vulnerable as you might think. And the Foxani Gate is held by a Romanian cavalry unit, which is a pushover, but we still need to get there, fight it, and capture the victory hex. As for our forces, we can clearly divide them into 2 groups. So there is one assault for the main assault force in the north, with veteran level cavalry units, Guards Cavalry Corps, which actually all have T-34s attached to them. Some tank divisions here, tank corps, and our best unit on the battlefield is this mechanized unit with a Katyusha attached 6+1 steps. We are not receiving, neither side is receiving any reinforcements. Maybe the Germans receive like a step or something, but nothing major. And since the map is over on our 3rd turn, it doesn't really matter what, so it makes no big difference. We also have two excellent units in the east, and I'm going to correct myself. This is our best unit because it's identical to the previous one that I showed you, but this one is veteran, so obviously it's superior. Um, and yeah, that's basically it. Otherwise, we're just holding the line. So strategy. Strategy is extremely simple in the main push line, in the main front line. All you have to do is capture the supply route, capture as much of the supply route as you can, the path as you can, and including this hex on turn 1. Then just push to the south as you see fit. As I've said, I failed this mission twice, I guess. Foxani Gate is a really difficult objective. If the AI can bunch up in front of you in this bad terrain, and you kind of get clogged down, and you know you're just taking too much time before you can get there and capture your objective on turn 3. The AI doesn't stand a chance in like a clean victory, so we would grind them down by the end of turn 4, I'd say, or 5 the latest. But by the end of turn 4, I think we could have destroyed all the units. All the AI controlled units, but we don't get to do that. As for these units, it's very interesting. They are the ones that have to capture this victory hex, and that's not exactly easy. First we need to cross the Dnester, which the Germans are still holding. Fortunately, on the other side of this bridge, this infantry division is not entrenched, so this is the so to speak weak spot where we need to push through. Yeah, other than that, I am actually going to give up on this supply route. I don't care, and we are going to focus on the west. So let's see. Oh yeah, one more thing to note. We are not going to conduct any assault, any offensive maneuvers here. We're just going to hold the front line, because, as I've said, these units are extremely potent here, so we are not going to even we can actually isolate them pretty well, so there is no point in suiciding our units against them. So let's see how it went. This unit, obviously this gun can only attack that one unit, destroyed. As we know, the Romanians are not really scary, although this one resisted because it's in a forest, so it gets a huge buff, or a relatively big buff for its position. And as I've mentioned, we are going to capture as much of the supply line as we can. Now this is really interesting. I put this unit here. Every single attempt I made on this map, the AI attacked the unit that's stationed here for some reason with the Panzer Division. Every single time. And the Panzer Division is strong enough so that you cannot hold it. I don't know what the solution to this should be. It's not that bad. It means that all of the other units around here will move out of position, and then you can just mow them down. But I wonder if you are supposed to attack the Panzer head-on, or really, I have no idea, or station a very powerful unit here, like one of these cavalry units. I have no idea what we're supposed to do, but this happened to me every single time. Alright. This unit won't survive this turn, don't worry. And yeah, we also don't forget, I actually almost forgot. I think in my first attempt I forgot to capture the victory hex. I could have, so there was no danger in you know, not capturing it, but I just simply forgot. And station a relatively decent unit there, because it's going to it potentially has to survive counterattacks, and a 90% overrun chance didn't materialize, unfortunately. I still wanted to attack this cavalry unit with it. Alright, we push to the south, overrun, and keep on attacking. Alright. Now at this moment, the supply actually runs up until and including Jassenstadt, so that's actually great. It means that yeah, so theoretically, if this remains the case, then all of our units should be amply supplied, but that's not going to be the case. I also want to remove this unit. This doesn't go well, as you can see. And yeah, capturing this spot is also important in my opinion. And I bombed the first Romanian Panzer Division. There was a malus of -1, I think, because this unit is in the forest. It's not entrenched, and the attack whiffed. We attack, and this unit retreats, interestingly, to the northwest. And I was kind of sad that I used the second attack of this unit after the overrun, because now it would have been better used against this tank unit, but oh well. This is basically as far as we get in the north, or in the west rather. We are going to eliminate this unit, I think, this turn still. But the point is that we captured this hex and of course the victory hex, this thereby cutting off the German units from flooding to the west. If you don't do that, they will come to the west, create a front line here, and you will have lost. You won't be able to capture this objective in time, the end. Alright, I actually try a few bombardments where I think that the odds are favorable. But yeah, a 2-on-1 trade is okay against the German unit. Now we need to push through here. Yes, this is painful, but this is an absolute must. There is no discussion about it. So we must win here. And then for some reason this unit still doesn't retreat, but of course we can destroy it now at least. And we need to occupy the zones of control. And I also make sure to station a unit here. There is a bridge here, so I don't want the AI to just rush in behind us. And yeah, we push, and I hope to destroy this Panzer division and to do one more thing with this move. So the Panzer division is destroyed, the only really potent unit, maybe apart from this Panzer Grenadier division. Since the supply comes from the east, that means that all these units are already cut off. And I think, as I've mentioned, all of the northernmost units as well, northeasternmost units as well. So that's also fine. By turn 3 that will have some effect, so that's great. And also our supply is great. It's actually there is a direct link, a little conga line running up until here, so we're all good. We're not in danger, not threatened by anything. And this is really interesting. I just push all these units because there is nothing they can do here. And the AI actually will push this unit across the river and will cut off from the supply on its turn 2, which is not that important, I believe. Alright, we still had one tank corps to act, so I decided to destroy that unit, pour up some reinforcements, and that's it. Turn 1 for the AI, and as you can see, all of these units, so these 5 units, math is hard. These 5 units as well as these 5 units are running out of supply. We will be able to keep them out of supply, and that means that on the next turn already they won't be able to attack and will get progressively weaker, which is awesome. Now the AI is going to obviously bunch up around the victory X. This is excellent. For some reason this Romanian unit suicided into our infantry gun, which was very brave, very heroic, and very stupid. And now here comes the attack that I've mentioned. The AI always does this, and there's nothing like, I don't think there is anything you can do to prevent it. By the way, this Jäger and this Gebirgsjäger unit are also running out of supply. So, but we still need to remove them at least from these hexes so that our supply doesn't start from here in the extreme northwest, which is kind of bad. And basically 2 things are happening. The AI is trying to put up a weak front line against our main push, which is not very successful. It's also trying to bunch up in front of this wedge, and here it is far more successful, I would say. Yeah, that unit gets destroyed. As you can see, this is looking really bad. There are a lot of units, and we don't have the forces here really to assault. And yet we're going to succeed, as you will see. So turn 2 for us. And interestingly, all of our units are in supply, mainly because of the northern supply, this off-road supply source, which just barely reaches here. So on this turn, we definitely need to secure a supply route, otherwise the suppressed steps won't return to active, and we want to avoid it. So let's remove this unit because it's bothersome, not dangerous, just bothersome. Cornered, yes. And also we absolutely must remove these 2 AI controlled units from here, and the retreat is sufficient. As I've said, they're not going to be able to attack the next turn, so that's all good. And interestingly, it retreated towards the north for some reason, but whatever. We are not going to assault the Panzer division in the forest. That would be suicide. We'll just let it rot here as long as it stays here, but we can box it and isolate it. That's fine. It will eventually run out of supply as we progress steadily towards the south. Right, overrun. Obviously especially those Romanian units that moved out of entrenchment are pretty pathetic. but against our infantry guns, even the Sturmgeschütz make a one-on-one trade, which is excellent for us, of course. And now here, so for now, we are not done yet, but we basically made a good dent. The enemy front line has evaporated, so to speak. These units are not very scary, especially the Romanians. Let's turn towards the southeast. This turn, I want to capture this victory hex, so let's see how it goes. We use our bombing run on this infantry unit, and it was pretty pathetic, but at least something happened. We overrun. And what we do is we assault with the infantry gun, which is always better to do before moving, occupy a zone of control, and push forward. Overrun, and this unit actually retreated. We quickly captured the victory hex before we assault it again, so that it wouldn't retreat back into the victory hex. That would be annoying. Bang! Good enough. And another assault. Now, this is an excellent unit. This one would be better, but it's half suppressed, so I actually am happy that this unit with an ISU 122 is holding this point. All of these units that have the little exclamation marks won't be able to attack, maybe excluding this one because it might reach supply, might be resupplied across the river, but mainly, you know, many of these units are already out. The AI is going to drive a desperate counterattack on this point, and we actually can lose it. So even if we lose it, that's fine. That means that we have to recapture it on the next turn, but we are not going to lose it. We get lucky. All right, we push on, and as I've mentioned, this unit pushed across the river, and I know that it has the chance of capturing our supply source. Theoretically, I have enough units, 3, namely to just box it in. But I don't think it's necessary. We can even give up on this whole supply line thingy and just push to the west. I think that is more important. We are going for the victory objectives. We don't need to hold these areas at all, so we don't care. Yep. I just don't want them to attack us through the back. That's why I move these weak units here. That's fine. It's actually also bait, so if this infantry unit comes here to the south, that's also good. Now we need to break through here. We definitely need to destroy the Romanian armor and this cavalry unit and just push. That's the name of the game, push as far as we can, which is admittedly not very far. I also try to destroy the strongest AI unit still in this area. And yeah, these units can still crawl across if they wish, crawl across the river, but yeah, that's not really dangerous. And I was looking at it and I saw that we could, with a bit of reshuffling, we can remove some units here as well, thanks to our cavalry. So we also make that move, and we're also going to move some of our frontline units around, so that once again we also don't need to hold any of these areas as well, either. So we are just 3 hexes away. Sorry, 3 hexes away from the final victory hex, but we still need to make the final push, obviously. Now it's time for the AI to act. As you can see, a lot of these units are completely red. These 2 cannot attack in the extreme northwest. This one cannot attack, and a whole bunch of these units cannot attack either. So, so that's great. But the AI is going to launch a counterattack, a very desperate one. It's basically fighting for its own. So these units are fighting for themselves, which is great. We are actually causing a huge amount of casualties until this Panzergrenadier division comes along, and yeah, and from now we're just mainly suffering casualties. But that's it. The AI has run out of steam, and of course it didn't manage to remove our unit, which is excellent. Nothing much is going to happen, so these positionings are totally pointless. This might look impressive at first, but it's not really a strong formation. And the AI withdrew its Panzer division here, but there is not much point to it. We are not going to do anything with it. We just need to push on to the south. And for some reason it used its reinforcing step on this green Feldersatz unit instead of on this one. I think that's the only other one that it could have allocated it to, or this one as well. So these 2. Yeah, well, that's not going to help it. I know it's in the forest, but it's a green unit, so we don't care. And it's time to end it. It's actually going to be very quick. We can bully the Romanians and the Feldersatz. That's not really a great proposition. And at this moment, since this unit only has 2 active steps, it's become weak. It's no longer conferring any areas of zones of control. Our units were not resupplied due to the fact that this German division cut us off at the source. We don't care. Let's try to assault the cavalry. We bomb it. A 1 KIA, that's better than nothing, I'd guess. And we destroy it. And interestingly, I didn't expect such success, so I was hoping it would retreat or something. But now we have won. Any of these units can march in, so I decide that it's going to be this unit to march in. As you can see, on turn 3 we haven't moved with most of our units, so we definitely could have cleared out a lot of the area, and by the end of the turn, not much. There wouldn't have been any threat to our positions. Only a couple of units would have remained. They would have retained the ability to attack. We could have moved all our units from the north as well towards the south, so we could have just flooded them. And including their last remaining Panzer division, that would have been cut off from supply as well. Anyway, even if we don't capture this, if we hadn't captured this victory hex. So I think this is how you win. A few things to note. First of all, you have to capture this victory hex, this breach hex, with the eastern forces. And the other thing is that in the northwest, you have to capture these 2 hexes on the first turn, and then just relentlessly assault towards the south. Don't forget that this area is very rugged, and the final victory hex is farther than it looks. Right, if you're struggling with this one, I hope this video helped. This was the scenario 2nd Iassy-Kishinev. I thank you all for joining me. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.